This is exciting.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
So we're
that's
live.
it?
Yeah.
I'm expecting something like crazy. It's okay.
No, it just says you're live.
Okay. I thought it was gonna be like I
I'll
don't know.
open the curtains or something.
Yeah, like can I get like something pop up, something. Okay. We just posted I'm actually live. I think don't people get notifications, right?
Yeah, they do.
Okay.
So we're
Hopefully
actually live, and I'll tweet it so that people could come. Yeah, that was my dad. Sorry.
Okay.
This is
Hopefully
why
my
I locked my door.
are also not running on TP time. That would be great. Like I hope they're not. Ah. So
Hi,
you didn't finish.
everybody. I actually didn't finish the book. No.
I'm judging.
Ugh, listen, it's my teacher's fault. I thought this assignment was 1,000 words. It's apparently 3,000.
I understand. Like, I don't know how people be like reading and in school and working. Cause I read 2 books in January and I was like, that's the best I got. Like, I can't.
I've been trying because I'm reading and working and going to school.
Literally.
But I'm working in school, so it's a little bit easier for me, I guess. So I read 7 books this month.
Let me tweet now. We're live.
It'll take a while for a few people to come to the live show anyway. So. Wait.
Do I have to tweet a link? That's a little bit extra.
Yeah, I'm tweeting a link.
Damn. Guess I'm gonna tweet now.
You could retweet. You could retweet me if anything.
Do that. Yep. Mm-hmm. You do that. I'll just retweet that. It's perfect.
We're live on Tahiry's channel. Hashtag Iqra Trials. Is it the Iqra Trials or just hashtag?
Don't hashtag the, just because I wanted to just be Iqra Trials. I don't know. I feel like the is where it gets like weird. With, like,
too
hashtag.
Complicated.
Yeah, because then people forget and then you're like, what's the hashtag?
Yeah.
Just forget the. I'm excited.
IQRA, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
I love your green walls.
Oh, thank you. I was 16 and I was like, I want my room to be green, mommy. And she was like, and I was like, yeah. And then now as a 23-year-old, I'm like, okay, I could kind of see where my mom was coming from.
Like, I get it, Mom. You were literally right. You're right.
Yeah.
Like, how am I going to fix this?
Like, I live in a leaf. Like, what the hell? A big leaf or something.
That's so cute, though. My walls were like pink until I was like 15. Then I was like,
yeah, you're just like, yeah. I was a child when I made those decisions.
Yeah, and then I was sharing a room with my sister, and she loves the pink wall, and I was like, no, please, like, no, I don't want it, like, at all.
Oh Lord.
I need people to come so we can start the discussion.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wow! The fact that it says 8 people are watching. Oh, hello, 8 people.
Oh wow! Hello. Well, one of those is me. So.
Okay, 7.
I don't know if like this also counts. In that case, like 5, but still, you know.
So the people with our moms watching, got it. Love that.
Oh look, a bunch of people are saying hi. 4 people said hi.
Wait. Is it on the? Do I have to go to YouTube to look at the stream? Because
You could go to YouTube to look at the screen. You could also, you're supposed to see it on there as well.
Yeah, I don't see it. Wait. Well, yeah, no, that's weird. Ew, take that off.
Yeah, you could go to YouTube and watch it from there. 11 people are watching now.
Oh my God! Hi, I'm sorry. I'm like trash. I apologize. No,
It's the first Iqra Trials, okay? So you have to like give us some.
Just hope we have to start somewhere, you know. So for the next
Yeah.
week, inshallah, we will be doing better.
Yes.
This is what's important. Okay. Who's dying outside? What? What is?
You live in New York. That's understandable.
It's getting worse. Okay.
Listen to me. In Trinidad, like we have like these speaker cars that announce deaths in the community, and it's the most morbid thing ever. Like you'd just be sitting down in your house having a good time, and then you'd hear, "This is a death announcement. We have been asked to announce the death of," and then they'd list the person and all his relatives or her relatives, and it's like it's the most depressing thing. It's like this because like back in the olden days when people didn't have the internet and phones and stuff, that's how you do it. But now we have those things, so why are y'all still doing this?
We don't understand. We don't understand. Okay, well, I'm up the chat. Hi, everybody. Hi. I am ready to go now. I can see your comments. We're ready. Why am I on this on my phone? Well, you know what? Okay. Wow. I should remember this when I eventually make my way to Trinidad one day.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Now it's popping up. Okay, there we go. Oh my gosh, you guys are staying up for this. Y'all are so loyal. Like, I would never.
I love it. So much people are here.
I love this. Hi, everybody. I'm sorry I'm late. We were supposed to start at 6, but with like CP time, that meant like 8.
So we're early, actually.
Yeah, we're actually early. There we go.
Yes.
Okay, so did everybody finish their books other than Saajid?
Why are you doing me like that?
I hope we all finish these books. Surprisingly, people just started reading We Hunt the Flame, and I was like, bro, y'all don't have to. Like, you know, I didn't want it to be like forceful and having people like, you have to read this book, because you never know somebody like, I'm broke. I'd be broke. I understand. So like if you had it, or if you just had a book by a Muslim author kind of like sitting around and you needed an excuse to pick it up, this was that. Ooh, she DNF'd it. T. Ooh.
You see, I'm not the only one. Look, everybody ain't finished the book yet.
All right. This is interesting. Yes, with the DNF. I understand it. I get it. Ooh, Mirage. I read Mirage twice.
I really need to read that.
It was so interesting because the author is Moroccan, but then she's also like Black Moroccan, which is so interesting because obviously there's Black people in Africa, duh. But you know, like North Africa is usually like mainly like Arab people, and then you do have like other indigenous like Black people up there or whatever. But I didn't find out she identified as Black until there was like a group. There was like a compilation book by like Black authors, Danielle Clayton, Elizabeth Acevedo, and literally she was on there, and I was like, oh, okay, got it. I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, I really want to read it because I think you said it was sci-fi and fantasy.
Yeah, it was based off of like it was some type of moon thing. They were on like a different like planet, so you had that. But then the premise is that she looks like the queen. So they needed a body double.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I was like, ooh.
Okay. I need to read that.
Yes.
I don't read much SFS, and that's what I wanted to talk about today. Yeah. That I don't read much.
I need to be like you because all I read is like science fiction fantasy, and I'm like, okay, what's happening in the world that doesn't involve like monsters and magic and like, you know, like other stuff.
Yeah, we should do a switcheroo.
Oh my gosh, we should.
Because I am a contemporary person.
Cool. Oh, hi, Kia. Hi, friends. You guys are so sweet.
Hi, everybody. So much. Shout out to the Moroccan. Somebody said they're
Yes,
Moroccan.
okay.
Yes.
You want to start first with your initial thoughts, or do you want me to go? Because I finished.
You go ahead first, and then I'll talk after. Yeah.
Okay, so I don't have We Hunt the Flame with me. That's just because I was traveling around and I was also like vlogging. I was forced to go to my uncle's wedding. It was a lot. It was a lot happening. But I have it, I have it here in my heart. I remember. I remember.
I have
Okay.
mine with me, even though I didn't finish.
Wow, just flex on me. Like, that's fine. It's okay. We Hunt the Flame. Okay, so I was interested in it because like everybody on like Muslim book Twitter, all they talk about is like We Hunt the Flame, and then like every SK Ali book, and then ever. So I'm just like, okay, what is this about? And I'm really bad with like blurbs. I just feel like they never really say anything, but they say so much, if that makes sense. It's like, oh, this person and this journey and then this boy and and I was just like, okay. But from the premise, it was the hate to love romance, and then the whole parading around as a guy thing. And so that really stood out to me. The book was really, really, really slow. Mina! Oh my God! Sorry, I'm so loud.
Hi, Mina.
Yeah, the book started off like super slow. I would say up until like 60% of the book, I was like, okay, this is slow. And I felt like she over-explained certain things, and I feel like this is just because like I'm Muslim and I know a little bit of Arabic. Like, thank God my days of going to madrasa, I remembered a little bit of something. But for me, there were certain things I was like, okay, like if she said a word in Arabic, she would then put the same word, the English word, like right afterwards. And I was like,
oh, right, yeah.
And certain things I get it, but other things is like context clues. Like you can kind of figure, because there's a lot of like nuances with just language, and certain things you really just don't even need to explain, because then it kind of feels a little, it just feels off. But yeah, it was super slow, and that's like my worst thing about fantasy books. It's a lot of world building and a lot of like establishing things before you get to like the meat of the story, which is definitely a little bit frustrating, but teaches you patience.
Yeah, sure. Definitely.
Other non-spoily things. Oh, it had some of my favorite character arcs, like the main guy, Nasir, which is funny because that's my brother's name, so I can never really like love him. Not like that.
I know that feeling. Whenever I read a Muslim book and I see like somebody's name, I know I'm like, this is my cousin. No.
Here is Bay, and I'm like, is he really? I can't do that. But he's like, what was he like? He was like broody and like really like insecure, but like super strong. And then was just like, he needed to be saved. And honestly, I'm kind of feeling this whole like male character needing to be saved type thing. Like, I like that.
It's about time.
Save him, okay?
Because some of y'all do need saving.
They do. Like, he was like broken. And I'm like, he need help. Somebody come get Nasir. Also, Zafira was cool. Also, one of my favorite character arcs for like women. She was super strong, and she was just like a go-getter, like a hustler. Like in the face of everybody in her village kind of accepting their fate, she was like, there's like this forest, and that's why they call her the huntress. There's like this forest that is like evil, and I don't know, maybe there's jinns in there. I don't know what's in this forest. But she goes to the forest every few months, and she comes back and she feeds her whole village. And like, I love that even the men were sitting there scared and stuff, and she was like, listen, somebody gotta eat. Like, I love that about her. Also in her, like, the structure of the world was a little interesting. There's like the country of Adawiya, and then there was like caliphates like in it. And in her caliphate, they were super like anti-women. And that was because I guess the magic in their world came from these like sisters. And so then there was like this evil guy, and this is not spoilers, by the way. This is like just the history. But there was this like evil guy who was trying to take magic, and so when the sisters went to go fight him, they all died and sacrificed their magic to protect the realm. But in Zafira's like state, we can call it, they use that as like, you see, women are the problem. Like we can't trust women. They couldn't, our problem was relying on a woman to save us, like that. So I really liked her character arc. There was also this guy named Altair who was like super flamboyant, over the top, witty. He reminded me of like Magnus Bane from the Shadowhunter Chronicles.
Okay.
I love Magnus. Like,
I never read it, but I know about Magnus. He has a reputation.
I love those type of characters. Who else? Then it was like a gang, it was like a group of friends on like this journey, and just like some of my favorite character arcs were present. But I don't know, it was just a little bit much and kind of over-explained. Okay. I was really frustrated because I had to save my review for Goodreads. I was like, I'm not gonna post it yet. I gotta wait till the live show. But I was like, Hafsa Faizal can like really write, and I didn't really see that until the last third of the book. Like I was like, she like her writing has like lyrical aspects. Like some of the quotes were just like, oh my God, like wow, like it brought a tear to my eye. But then like her characters were so strong in regards to like who they were, and then the plot. Like the first 2/3 kind of like and then towards the end when I'm not really paying attention, I'm like, oh, plot twist, what's going on? What the?
I love when these plot twists just sweep up the story.
I was like, no, and then I got upset because I was like, she can write. She can write, but then I didn't see that for majority of the book. Like for the whole book, I was like, oh, it's a 3, it's a 3, it's a 3. And then towards the end, I was like, girl, what?
Why weren't you doing this the whole time?
Where was this energy in this book? Somebody said they DNF'd it because they found it too cringy. Oh, okay. Dean was Zafira's best friend's fiance. Mm-hmm. And Zafira kind of had like this, I don't want to say I'm not like other girls thing, because it's not really that, but in the context of like, based off, I guess, like the Arab world, and think of like Arabia as like Saudi Arabia in regards to like women like oppressed and not really having a lot of rights and stuff. She saw her best friend getting married as like kind of like a cop out, She was just like, I don't want that. I want more for myself. And so their relationship got a little bit weird because the best friend was like, don't worry, you're not going to lose me. I'm still going to be the same person. And then Zafira was like, no, you're not. It's not going to work. Yeah, it was frustrating. Somebody said, do I feel like it was a good setup for the second book? Yes. Because now the world is set up. There's like a little bit of drama. What else? And I feel like we don't have to explain so much. Like certain things, I feel like like the Arabic translations, because I feel like that's a big thing I saw in like reviews and stuff. There is a sense of you can really just go Google it, like there's just
definitely
like just Google it. And then Hafsa Faizal, she put like a list of like translations on her Goodreads. And then you still have people being like, oh, I didn't understand. And like, that was so annoying. And I was like.
But that's it. If you're reading a book from like a different like culture, obviously you're going to learn different terminologies. And that's the thing about reading. Reading is not always supposed to be like this easy thing. Sometimes you kind of have to figure things out based on context.
Yes.
Yeah, and Google and research and stuff like that.
It was so unnecessary because I feel like it kind of took away from the story. What else? I'm trying to think how I feel about it. I don't know. Hafsa Faizal as an individual is also super interesting because when I was making my Google Doc list, I was trying to figure out what her ethnicity was. Well, obviously, she wears niqab, so it's kind of a little hard to figure it out. She posted on her Instagram that she was, I think her parents are, oh my God, I forgot what Arab country. Her parents are Arab, of Arab descent, but they live in Sri Lanka.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's
Interesting.
super interesting. Yeah, that was like super interesting. I was like,
Oh,
oh,
okay. Interesting.
got it.
Okay.
I can't completely place an Arab country like that I felt the book was inspired by. It was just very like Arab to me. Like, I can't
Yeah.
the country. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, Assalamualaikum.
Hi, Jamila.
Uh,
I'm waving like at my computer. Like I don't know.
I'm trying to think what else. Also, anybody else that read We Hunt the Flame, please put your thoughts, like non-spoiler, of course, because we don't want to
Mm-hmm.
spoil it for other people. But yeah, overall, it was just, the pacing was kind of slow, but I did like, oh, I completely forgot, the creatures, like the fantastical creatures.
Oh, there's creatures.
You saw my tweet. I know y'all saw my tweet about these werewolves that came.
They had werewolves?
You didn't see my tweet. Yo, literally, it was like,
I recall you saying something about werewolves, actually.
it was like these, I was just reading and it was just like, oh my God, no, I have to read it because I took a screenshot. I was like, this is ridiculous. This is ludicrous. I don't understand what's happening with these creatures. I like that.
I read a book about werewolves this month, but it was
that.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, wow.
This is a Muslim live show. Let's not talk about that here.
But I was very questioning. I didn't know anatomy was like that. Like maybe I
I stuck with a lot.
He went from he literally was like they were like traveling or whatever because they spend the majority of the book like in the desert, and then so every couple of like chapters they encounter a different like being. So they had like the jinns, and then they had like the little ifrits, and then there were like the shape-shifting jinns, and then they were surrounded by wolves, and then here goes like the wolves start transforming, and then by the end they're wearing like these clean white robes with like the turbans on their head, and I'm like,
practicing wolves. That's so cool.
Like, what happens when Muslims write fantasy? This is what
wolves with turbans.
And even Nasir was like, I'm questioning how their thobes were so white, but how? Like a wolf to just like a regular like Arab guy walking around like in Dubai or something. How? And he had sandals and everything. And I was like,
okay.
All right.
Maybe that's how the wolf skin looks on humans.
I was like, okay. Oh my gosh. Oh yeah. Her horse. What happened to the horse? That is a good point. Where'd the horse go? She had a horse,
and then she didn't have a horse.
And then she was going through the desert, and it was like, no horse. Listen, okay, all right. It was interesting to see like those like fantastical, mystical beings, because we only see like the ones that are in like European history, like the common ones that we all see. But even like those werewolves, I forgot the name, but they had like a name and what they referred to in like Arabic like folklore, which is super interesting. Like we don't see that, and it reminded me of Jesse's Mythathon that they did, and like having that option of doing more or seeing more like mythical creatures from a different culture was super interesting. Yes. I think it was like 4 of them, and I was like, that was really
cool. They said that they wanted to do like maybe like more Caribbean folklore next time. Yeah. So I'm looking forward to that and stuff.
Interesting. Okay, I've been talking for so long. Go ahead.
Okay, no, I wanted to ask you questions about We Hunt the Flame because it sounds so interesting. I'm like I don't read a lot of SFF, but I'm more interested in like SF than F, so I'm more interested in science fiction. So like fantasy just is a genre that I've always kind of like, I always pick up a book, really enjoy it, understand why everybody like it, but I could never finish with it. It happened with Children of Blood and Bone. It
Mm,
happened with The Cruel Prince. Don't tell nobody I say that. Everybody love them book on Book Twitter.
yeah.
Um, but like, it's just not my genre. But I really do kind of want to try a little bit more. But I figured I should delve into science fiction more, since
Mhm.
that's the speculative fiction that I gravitate towards more, and
Okay.
then eventually I could go into fantasy. Um, uh, I was gonna ask you with regards to We Hunt the Flame, like about. I know it probably doesn't have a lot of like Islamic stuff in it
Mhm, mhm.
itself. But like, what do you think about the whole conversation of like, because growing up, I would have a lot of Muslims tell me that, oh, we're not supposed to be reading fantasy, magic is evil, it's black
Mm,
magic, it's this, is
yeah.
that. If you read Harry Potter is a jinn, and all kind of. Listen, I have listen. Somebody told this guy gave me a lecture about something he watched on Harry Potter and why it's sinful. Because I had really bad anxiety once, and I had an anxiety attack. And around the same time, I think I was reading Order of the Phoenix, and he told me like Order of the Phoenix gave me an anxiety.
No.
So I wanted to know, like, what's your opinions on that conversation that people, like some Muslims, think that we shouldn't be reading or writing fantasy
Yeah.
or magic because that goes against Islam in some
Mm.
way.
My thoughts on that are, me personally, the thing that probably rubs me a little bit the wrong way is like, we as Muslims, we love to write about jinn. Those are our creatures of choice for fantasy novels. That kind of that bothers me a little bit more than writing about fantasy in general. I think people, especially Muslim people, we put a lot of power into things that aren't Allah, and that's just a little bit frustrating.
Mhm.
It's like
Yes.
this
I
book that
mean,
seen we know that this is fake. It's not like it's actual, like, people that really do be trying to practice like black magic who
mhm.
claim that this is gonna do something for you. It's literally like, she probably had a dream about something and then wrote it in a, like, it's literally just
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
like creativity, and like I said, just too much like power and emphasis on something that's not, it's not a,
Hmm.
I do think that say it'd be different if like if these fantasy books or even like certain aspects of science fiction were like mirror to certain, like, I guess, miracles that we see in Islam and stuff like that. I can understand how somebody would maybe see that as like offensive, but it's literally just creativity.
Hmm. Yeah,
And
yeah,
you're
I
not
agree.
doing anything to it. It's just, this is a little bit funky. Like, literally saying like, oh my gosh, like, I wish I could like move this cup with my mind is not going to send me to hell. I hope not. Like, it's just, and what if I wrote a book about people that can move things with their mind? Like,
Yeah, Jamila said, LOL, it seems like everybody got the witchcraft lecture.
yes. Like,
Yeah,
where did all our parents come from with this? Oh,
yeah, I guess it's,
people are asking about
yeah.
ratings. I gave We Hunt the Flame 3.5. That's my rating. It was 3 for literally 75% of the book, but the last 100 pages, I was like, okay, 0.5. So 3.5 is my rating, but I'm definitely hopeful for the next book. I have a lot of good feelings about it. But yeah, this whole
Okay.
witchcraft stuff, it really just be like,
Yeah, it's tired.
so crazy. Like, think about the stories that we hear about, like with the prophets and like in the Quran and stuff. Like
They're all very, yeah,
yeah,
like
like
otherworldly.
exactly. Like Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam split the moon. Like, does
Yes.
that not sound like magic to people? You know what I'm saying? It's like, this is not. These are things that we hear, and I think we just, like I said, Muslims love putting a lot of like emphasis
Emphasis on things
on
that's not really that important.
just read your Harry Potter, like Wingardium Leviosa, and like just keep it pushing. Like,
Mashallah.
that's how we're gonna end it. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
The long ass title of the book. I can't even remember the title of your book. London something. Sea
Yes.
or world.
Light at the bottom of the world. the author's name is London Shah. Coincidentally, like the book is set in London and her name is London. I don't know if that's a pen name or her actual name is like London. But yeah, it's a really interesting book. I'm loving it so much so far, and I'm only like 100 pages in, so it's like 300 pages long.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm not used to sci-fi, so like I've kind of been reading it a little bit slowly because I have a tendency when I'm reading sci-fi and fantasy to skim, and obviously like that doesn't work because you'll be skimming, and then the next page there's a werewolf, and you're like, wait, what did I? Oh, she summoned a werewolf. Okay, missed that. Right.
And then somebody else got transported into like a spaceship, and you'd be like,
yeah, yeah. So it's basically what had happened was a meteor came and hit Earth like sometime in this century. So like I guess like maybe 20 years from now or so. Okay. And the humans predicted that it was going to happen, so they prepared for it. And basically what it did was it basically displaced the ocean water. So now the entire Earth, with the exception of like maybe a few mountain peaks, is completely submerged in water. So this book is set in a London that is completely submerged underwater, and our main protagonist is a girl named Layla, and her hobby is to race submarines. So there's this. Is Tahiry stuck? Did Tahiry stick? Tahiry? Are y'all seeing Tahiry?
Oh. I can't.
Did you hear me?
It was a black.
No, you disappeared. Everybody in the chat said you disappeared, and I was like in the middle of my explanation, and I was like, talking, and then you were just like,
sorry, oh my,
and then disappeared.
Yo, whatever, I don't know, whatever, some spirit heard something and was mad.
Oh my god, it was some.
That's because you were messing with witchcraft. No, I wasn't. We were.
We have to be careful.
I'm back. Hello. Look. Oh god.
Oh, snap the gens. Somebody said.
Percy, please.
Listen, we believe in gens over here. Don't be making joke about gens.
Yo, somebody said our aunties were right. I can't.
I can't stand you.
God.
Oh Lord.
Okay. I'm sorry. I'm also in like the Bronx, and for people that don't know New York has 5 boroughs, and the Bronx is excommunicated. We don't. The best Bronx gave us was the creation of hip hop, but other than that, don't go here. Like, the scene from Lion King where Mufasa's like, everything the light touches is yours. The Bronx is the other side of that. The Shadowland. We don't.
Oh,
no, so yeah.
Hashtag pray for the Bronx.
Put that on a shirt. Put it on a shirt.
We'll make dua for the Bronx.
Okay, your explanation. I'm so sorry.
Okay, no, it's fine.
They predicted it. The ocean levels rose, mountain peaks.
Right, ocean level. Right, so the entire world, with the exception of like a couple mountain peaks, it's submerged underwater. So they live in an underwater London that's basically under this big dome, and they get around by submarine. So like everybody has like a little submersible, and one of the biggest like spots in this, submarine.
Like Uber? Like, is that how
yeah, like a marine girl, right? So,
oh my god.
Yes, because basically what happened is the biggest sport in this underwater world is submarine racing, and our main protagonist, Layla, races submarines. So that's like her hobby, and she ends up. This book has slight, like, not, I wouldn't say Hunger Games, but basically every year there's an annual submarine game, and 100 people are chosen to participate in the game, and Layla is one
Yes.
of the people who's chosen. So she's really excited because she's been, spending the whole 16 years of her life racing. Well, not the whole 16 years of her life, but she's been racing submarines for a while, and she's really excited to participate in it. But her father was like arrested under mysterious circumstances. So it's kind of like a little political intrigue, and then you have the
Okay.
sci-fi elements going on, and it's
Dystopian.
just it's a really cool book. Like, I'm enjoying it. I love the writing. Um, the first 100 pages was like 65% world building, but I don't blame the author because she kind of had to let you all know what this underground London, this underwater London, sorry, looks like. And it's really cool because I went to London last year for the first time, so it's still kind of like fresh in my mind. So like
Oh, that's so
reading the
cool.
book, yeah, so like reading the book, it's like I could picture like when she says like I'm in Trafalgar Square, I'm like, okay, Trafalgar Square, but underwater. I see it. Like yeah, I get the vibe.
Ah.
So
Ooh,
I'm really enjoying it for that reason too, I guess.
ooh.
In terms of like
Somebody
representation
said
and
they
stuff,
DNF'd it.
really, like, oh, I'm sorry, I just didn't finish it. Yeah, I'd be
Then
interested to
look,
know why you didn't
finish
finish it.
it.
Yeah. I could see why though. It is a bit slow, I guess, but I don't have a problem with the slowness personally. Like, I'm enjoying the kind of slow build up,
Mm,
and it is a bit predictable.
mm,
Like, everything that I thought was going to happen so far happened. So
okay.
it's typical YA, like the setup, the character
Yeah.
dynamics and stuff. So I don't really have like any high expectations with regards to that, but I'm still enjoying it. And so I was going to talk about the representation.
Okay.
So the author is, I believe, of Afghanistani heritage.
Okay.
Is it Afghanistani or Afghan?
I've heard people say Afghani, but
Afghani,
yeah,
Afghanistan, Afghan.
if somebody is from Afghanistan, please correct us in these
Yes,
comments.
please, thank you. She family from Afghanistan, heritage wise. So I believe she's Pathan, like that's her like particular like ethnicity or heritage or
Ethnicity,
whatever.
ethnic group.
Yeah. And so um, obviously she's Muslim. There hasn't been much talk about Islam so far in the book. But the character definitely is a practicing Muslim because every now and again she says Bismillah. There
Oh,
was a
really?
part where yeah, because like whenever she's about to take off to race her submarine, she says Bismillah, which makes
Oh,
sense because like any
you better,
practicing Muslim about to like race a submarine, like
you better call somebody. What?
yeah. And there was a scene where she just kind of casually mentioned that she just finished praying and reading Quran, and then she's getting ready to do something else. And in this world, like books, I think, not to give away too much, but this is not like a spoiler or anything, but books are like an old antique.
Mm,
So, like, they don't have books anymore because even though they're underwater now, it's still more technologically advanced than our world.
got it.
So I guess like everybody on the Kindle now, I don't know. So they waterproof Kindles. So um so books are like an old antique. So she really treasures. I think they have just like a few copies of the Quran, and they have
Mm,
like they treasure it a lot because it's antique, it's book, it's the holy book and whatnot. So it was really cool to see just those little tidbits of like Islam represented, even though so far the story hasn't explored like faith or anything. And I
mm,
don't expect the faith to be like the main subject of this book,
yeah.
but I do hope that moving on it becomes a little bit more relevant because there is there's this thing in this world called seasickness, which is basically, like trigger warnings for like suicide if anybody doesn't want to talk about that. But basically, people have like this huge nostalgia and longing for the old world when we used to live above water.
Mm,
So a lot of people get depressed. So seasickness is kind of like a term for depression. So they
Okay.
basically call depression seasickness now because most people suffer from it because of the fact that they miss or they're too enamored with the idea of living above and they don't like living,
Wait,
you
I
know,
have a
below
question.
one. What's that?
So the so this is not like when the meteor hit, this is something that was like recent. It's not something that like happened like
Yeah,
mad long ago.
it
Oh,
is recent. So the book is set in 2099 in December. So the book is literally set at the turn of the next century. So less than 100 years from now. So they didn't explain the exact timeline or like when it actually happened, but the way it's written, I'm getting the sense that it probably happened like in the 40s or 50s
in people's
or
lifetime.
something.
Okay.
Yeah, so like in the 2040s and 50s, it seems like it happened around then.
Okay.
But humans were able to predict it, and that's why they were able to build the domes and stuff in time. So when the water submerged them, they were able to kind of survive it. But a lot of the world died, though. They said billions with a B of people died. So I'm guessing, like, I mean, the author didn't explain too much about that, but I'm guessing, like,
Yeah.
maybe poorer countries who didn't have the
Yeah.
infrastructure to build domes just got washed
Yeah.
away, which is devastating.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, so they have this thing called seasickness where they suffer from depression and stuff. And I feel like that would be a really good opportunity to eventually have a conversation about faith and Islam
Mm-hmm.
because there's this implication in sci-fi a lot that, you know, as time progresses or whatever, religion will die out,
Mm.
which a lot of people disagree with. I don't think that will ever be the case,
Yeah.
especially if you come to a dystopian society, religion might become a means through which people cope. So I'm
Right.
hoping that we get a little bit more discussions about Islam and stuff. And I also forgot to talk about the creatures because this book has creatures.
Okay.
There's this thing called and they mention it in the summary, I think. At least I think they do. But anyways, it's called the anthropoids, and
Okay.
basically humans biologically engineered them. They're like, I don't know what they are. Like, we haven't gotten a description as yet, but I guess they're like killer mermaids or something.
Oh.
And
Oh
I don't
God.
know. They're definitely human-like and they definitely have like intelligence like humans. And the reason why humans built them is so that they could help us
Mm.
adapt to the underwater world. But obviously, they turned against us, like in every sci-fi when humans try to build other sentient beings.
Every time.
So yeah, that's pretty much everything I could say about the book for now. I didn't finish it. I only read 100 pages, but
What page are you on? Like, how much of it do you have done?
I'm on page 102, and the book is like 310 pages, and I believe it's the first in a series. Yeah, it has to be the first in a series. Yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to think. I think I have questions. So about the like Islamic elements to it, what would you expect? Like if they do expand upon the whole Islamic element of it and even like the seasickness, like how would you want that to be done, like in the book?
I mean, I don't know exactly how I would want it to be done because, you know, different Muslims would have different ways of,
Right.
you know, interpreting how Islam, you know, can help you deal
Yeah.
with certain situations. So I'm really interested to see how London Shah brings it, if she does, and she doesn't have to, obviously. If it never comes up, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But like if she does, I would be really interested to see how she talks about it with relation to the seasickness thing. Because I mean, like, you know, Muslims have a way of, you know, coping with things, saying, you know, this is a test from Allah, this is
Yeah.
Allah's will, you know, we have to accept this, find ways to move on, continue praying,
Yeah.
continue having faith. And this character is faithful, you know, it's not like a lot of other YA contemporary novels where they just say, I'm a Muslim on page 2, and that's it, you know, like no praying, no stuff like that. And that's fine, but like it's cool to see a book where even though this book also doesn't really talk about Islam, you're seeing every now and again the character saying Inshallah,
Yeah.
Bismillah, Assalamu alaikum. She's
Okay.
praying, she's reading the Quran. She says God a lot, like you know, I pray to God, da 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 da. So she's definitely a practicing faithful person. And as her character grows throughout the story, I'm really interested to see how that faith element becomes a better part of it, and how, like, you know, how it might if there's a Muslim community, is there like an underwater mosque? She
Yeah,
talks about
like,
Ramadan.
what do you do for Ramadan? Like, what?
Yeah, she mentioned Ramadan casually too. That's the thing. She's mentioning a bunch of things like really casually, and she casually mentioned Ramadan or whatever because the book is set around Christmas time, the turn of the year, and she's by her Christian friend's house and she's eating and she's like, telling them about Ramadan and how and fasting and stuff like that, which was really cool. So I'm interested to see, like, maybe in future books we'll get around to Ramadan and see what it's like, like Tarawih underwater and stuff like that. Like, that would be so cool. So, and I'm really interested to see where, if the author decides to talk about Islam and being Muslim, and also like the rest of the world, like you read the Hunger Games, like, okay, but what about the rest of the world? Like, this book is just set in London.
Outside of Pan Am in the 12th district, yeah.
Yeah, and she does mention like Afghanistan, and she says her family's from Kabul, but obviously, like, her grandparents and stuff would have probably lived in the before times and whatnot. Um, her grandfather is in this book, but he hasn't mentioned anything yet about like if he's from the before times or whatnot. So I'm not too sure about that as yet, but like it's interesting because the grandfather might be like our generation. Oh, it's cool. I just thought about that.
I feel old.
Imagine me being an old man with a grandchild. Oh no.
You know what's interesting about dystopian specifically in regards to Islam, which is I haven't seen anybody really talk about this, and maybe I'll just do it in my book. But the idea that we have like
send me an act.
We have our like Hafiz, we have the people that memorize the Quran literally because just in case something happens, we still will have these people that will always remember the words of Allah. So I really would love to see like a Muslim book, especially if it's like a dystopian thing, kind of mention that, being like, well, like I can imagine like the Hafiz, like, like doing lessons and like talking about like that's so interesting because that is something that I guess we plan for is a little weird, but it is something that you have to be prepared for. And also what you're talking about with like people assuming that religion will go away, the more like technologically advanced like society. Also, people have always questioned the world and their answers are different to everybody. So who knows? That's so interesting though. I wasn't expecting all of that, like racing and like
it's a really dynamic book. I'm liking it. I mean, I don't know if it's because my standards are not very high because I just don't read sci-fi that much. But like I'm reading this with An Unkindness of Ghosts. I don't know if you've heard of that one.
Yeah.
It's really popular. And that's like an adult book, and I'm actually enjoying this one a little bit more. Even though An Unkindness of Ghosts is not bad. And as I mentioned, that book, it relates a lot to what you were saying just now about the Hafiz and remembering stuff, because in Unkindness of Ghosts, it's also set like in the future, but it's set in space on a generation ship. And so like in the book, they were talking about the importance of memory and remembering your history and the past and where we came from. So it just kind of makes sense when you say that, like if you have a dystopia and a futuristic story with Muslims, it would make sense to have Hafiz's kind of coming back and being, well, sis, there was this thing called the Quran, and
like in case you didn't know,
X, Y, and Z was said, so let's talk about that. So it's a really interesting conversation. I think that should be included more in like sci-fi books or futuristic books with Muslims.
Okay. Do you think that why maybe like adult fantasy is more your thing, like adult SFF? Because I've been reading like the chat, a lot of people, and this is just I feel like on the online book reviewer community, like YA has been very like kind of like oversaturated and like kind of played out, if I'm being honest. I think a lot of people are not like vibing with YA, and how I've noticed a lot of people talk about how YA specifically, people put books as YA for like marketing purposes.
But it would really be like new adult.
Yeah, like they talk about like Six of Crows should definitely be adult, which I definitely understand. And new adult
and A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Yes, new adult as a genre itself is super interesting because it's that weird middle ground between the ages of like 18 and like 24, 25. Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Do you think that your experience with fantasy and science fiction would maybe be the issue with like YA specifically?
I'm not sure because I haven't read a lot of adult fantasy and sci-fi, and what's prevented me is just the pure like mind over matter, the intimidation of it all. Because it's like, you know, I fear that I wouldn't understand everything and things would kind of go over my head. So for me, it's more just like getting over that fear and understanding that it's okay to start reading it and have moments where you're kind of having little blonde moments where it's like you don't really understand what's going on, but you'll figure it out eventually. So, and that's kind of like me and Unkindness of Ghost right now. And I'm also listening to the audiobook while reading it, and that's helping. And the audiobook is really interesting because they have Jamaican accents.
Okay.
With no talk of Jamaica, but they have Jamaica. And I was like, okay. So, it was interesting. So,
I feel like let's read some of these comments. What are people saying?
Yeah. What questions y'all have? Well, somebody was saying something about lights at the bottom of the world. Fantasy used to be one of my favorite genres. So, who said they DNF'd it? I had asked why they DNF'd it. I'll find it.
We're gonna find them. But yeah, how are you guys feeling about just like Muslim representation in the books, YA? What are maybe Muslim stories that you're interested in coming out? All of that, all those types of things. What else are people talking about?
I did read another Muslim book this month that had some speculative elements, but I wouldn't call it like SFF. It was Mad, Bad, and Dangerous to Know by Samira Ahmed.
Didn't you read it?
I read it. I didn't really like it all that much. I know you have a history, but like,
I'm not even gonna lie, it looked good. Like when I read, I love the cover. The cover is beautiful, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. Very like, it reminded me of like a, when somebody travels to like go find themselves type of thing.
Yeah, it's nice. It's like a mystery book kind of. So the mystery is really cool. It's about this girl trying to do research on this ancient woman from a painting. Well, not ancient, 1800s. She was in a painting, but nobody knows who this woman is or if she's even real. So she's trying to do research on the woman. But in between each of her chapters, we get the perspective of that woman, and her name is Layla, and she's like from 1800s Turkey or something.
Oh, interesting.
And she's very like, the main protagonist says that she's Muslim on page 1, but then that's it. But Layla actually like practices, like she says inshallah, she talks about praying, and she talks to jinns. So she's friends with like jinns, and so that's kind of like the, I guess, speculative element of it.
Why do people do this? Y'all keep playing, and then when they pop up, you want to no. Why we do that? That's not funny.
I think it's because like in a lot of ancient like West Asian cultures, like the jinn wasn't always just this kind of formidable thing as it's kind of seen as now, but it was like, like other beings that you sort of share the realm with and stuff like that. So it's very interesting. I think I loved those aspects of the book, the mystery and the historical intrigue and unearthing the story of a woman of color who was silenced throughout history. But then white boy. There's a white boy, and oh my God, it was just, oh God. The Shawn Mendes prototype, yeah. And he just
I just wanna I'm interested in like, here's the thing with like these white boys. I'm just trying to figure out, it almost feels like it's intentional, because is there not any other race of men that exists that should be deemed as a love interest?
Yeah, well, she's in a love triangle, and the next boy is non-white, but
that's a little bit better.
he has no personality other than being a F boy, and he's only like that to just make the other one look good by comparison.
Okay.
What?
I don't know what that is. Like, I feel like even if it is reflective of the author's own interest, like maybe she's just super attracted to white boys, which is like fine, that's your business. But for the sake of the story, of your stories, can we get a little?
Yeah, because every book she's written is like that. But I think.
Oh my gosh, Mayana's here. I didn't even notice that. Hi, Mayana.
Hi, Mayana. But yeah, somebody said I'm always scared to buy and read Muslim books because I'm afraid of the bad rep. If I'll read one more book with a MC who has forced marriage and hates her scarf, I'm buying all the books and I'll burn them.
That's why I made the.
You know what? I mean,
any more Muslim books. I was like, I'm not doing it. And then everybody on Twitter was like, no, but you have to try SK Ali first. Like, before you say no, read
yes.
SK Ali. I get it.
You read Samira Ahmed and a very large expanse of sea before you read SK Ali. It's your fault. Okay. Oh, Lord. Did Tahira stick again, y'all? Is she frozen again? I'm nervous to pick any of them up at this point. Yes, Jamila, I feel that. I recently read Love from A to Z is so good. Tahira. Tahira, see if you could like leave the stream and come back. So like, or remove yourself from the stream and come back. That might help. My current work in progress is a rom-com with a djinn, but the djinn ain't the love interest. Okay, because I was wondering. Yeah, I mean, that's Dua for the Bronx, yes. I love you all. Oh God, my baby nephew is trying to come in the room. Uncle Busy! I understand why you would be scared of books about jinns. Read more. Uncle is busy. This is so cool. Alright, y'all. Keep telling me things. Okay, Tahira says her Wi-Fi is giving trouble, so let's pray that she gets back on. Sis! Mother, could you move your grandson? Love from A to Z is so good, to be honest. Best Muslim rep I read. Yes, I agree, Jamila. That book is really good. Y'all should also read All American Muslim Girl. That's a good book too. Uncle is busy. Uncle busy, right, Papa? I'll come just now. Okay. I feel so bad to tell him to leave. My father took him. Saajid, tell us about some other books. Hi.
Oh my God.
Well, my baby nephew was trying to barge in my room, and my dad had to like take him away.
Oh, you guys got quality content other than me. Look at that. Okay, Saajid, tell us about some other books. Yes.
Jamila said that she loved Love from A to Z. It was good Muslim rap. So I was saying that you should read All American Muslim Girl too.
Yes,
that's a really good
yes.
book.
I can get tattoos. I would get All American Muslim Girl like tattooed on my body. Like I sent Nadine Jolie Courtney such a long DM, and I was just like sobbing. And I'm like, thank you so much for writing. Like
it was so good, so good.
And do you know the way we got the book the same way through Jesse?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the arc through Jesse. Yeah, and Nadine reached out to me and a bunch of other Muslims.
Yeah, me too. Yeah,
but I had already bought a copy of her book after reading the arc, and I was like, oh, okay, thanks.
She literally watched my video about Muslim representation, and she was like, she was just watching, and then she saw me mention All American Muslim Girl. She was like, "Do you want to finish copy?" And I was like, "Yes." I didn't even start the arc yet. That's what was crazy. Then I had both. Speaking of the arc, I have to send it to Samaya from Samaya and Booktopia. I'm literally, my life is a mess. I'm so sorry. But All American Muslim Girl is, it's one of those books that I felt like it made me better as like a Muslim. Like when I was reading it and like certain times, like, what's her name? Allie. What? Like Allie would like, certain things would happen. Like she'd be like, oh, I'm going to like go pray. And then I would be like, did I pray? Hold up. Did I miss a salat? Like, little things that just made me so, I felt like, oh my gosh, like she talks about like reading Quran. And I'm like, when the last time I picked up I was like, oh my God. Like,
she was calling us, Nadine was calling us out.
Yes.
Nadine was like, yeah, when last you prayed?
I'm like, you're right, Nadine. Wow. But I
because
like that.
There was a line in the book where she was like, while she was praying, she was talking about how it made her feel and like how she's like, she said something along the lines of like, you know, she knows that other Muslims are praying with her right now at the same time. So it's like one collective ummah thing. I was like,
girl.
I was like, I need to reconvert to Islam.
Chills. Like I feel like reading that book would make like a non-Muslim want to convert. Like literally.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people, especially like people who might have been thinking about Islam and stuff like that. And it even like helped because, you know, I sometimes go through my phases where, you know, I don't really pray and I kind of slack off a little bit. All of us. And when I was reading that book, that was one of those times, and the book kind of like over time sort of prompted me to pray a little, to pray more. I even have a prayer tracker in my bullet journal now.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh my God. And the craziest part is that we read this book because Jesse was like, I don't know why this white lady writing them out.
Jesse emailed me and was like, there's a white woman.
Literally, they sent me the book and then a picture of Nadine, and they were like, ...
When I first saw it too, I was kind of concerned, but I didn't really like think it would have been a big deal because I thought it was like a white revert or convert, whichever word people prefer.
My worst fear was that she was like on some American Dirt stuff, you know?
Yes. But in her bio on Twitter, she said she was a Muslim. So I was like, okay, hopefully maybe she's just writing a story. But I didn't know that she herself is...
What's going on? Like Jesse was like, me and Saajid are doing research.
But then I was doing research on her and I found out that she's actually half Arab. And the main protagonist in the book is half Arab. I'm like, you see, you can't judge people because her name is Nadine Jolie Courtney. And she's a blonde lady. So it's like, you can't judge people by...
I was coming for us. He was like, why are you judging? Dynamic. I'm so sorry.
This whole reading experience was a sign.
Yes.
That's so beautiful.
All Our Girl is amazing. And if you guys are like literally before you read anything else, read that. And the biggest thing, please ignore this bottle of Sprite. I'm going through something. Okay. Please just don't look at the bottle of Sprite. We're just having a moment.
It's fine. I have my Oasis water bottle.
The best aspect of it was that Allie was real. Like she was the epitome of what you would expect, like just a Muslim person to just be doing, to just try your best. And that's literally it. Like she tried and she had those moments, especially with her boyfriend, of feeling like conflicted and like, what do I do? And she didn't ever try to be like, oh no, that's not from, you know, like I'm not sinning. Like it's just, you know those people, like when they know they're doing something wrong, instead of just being like, yeah, I messed up, they be like, no, well, Islam technically doesn't, you know, those people, and you just be like, well, it's okay. Like we all in the same boat together, and I really like that aspect of All American Muslim Girl. Also, the study group, I love their discussions. They talked about a lot of things, like so many things that we as Muslim people are, I feel like, afraid to talk about, like with our peer groups. Like unfortunately, I talk about this sometimes on my channel, how people make practicing really boring. Like they so like they make it really feels like for a lot of young Muslim people to be like everybody else is out here having fun.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just sitting here like
Yeah,
doing
they make it seem like you know, if you're a Muslim, you can't have fun
yes,
because having fun equals doing things that are not deemed conventionally Islamic or whatnot. When that's not like I've had fun in my life without
yeah,
drinking and partying and doing things,
yeah.
you know. So it's like, is that a cat?
I said, "Is this the cat?"
It's a person.
Hello, people. Y'all know what it's like. You know, Muslim people have big families. It's always you're never alone.
Listen, my baby nephew was just banging on the door for like a good 5 minutes when you were out. So
Literally, that's literally like my.
he was like, "Uncle, uncle." Yeah.
That's so cute.
And usually he like runs away from me and stuff, and now he's like, of all the times, yeah. So in conclusion, we were talking about SFF, but read All American Muslim Girl. Yes. I think Tahira stuck again. She goes again.
Oh wait.
OMG, I wish. Okay, sorry. You're back.
I'm back.
Thank you, Chunky Monkey 9097. OMG, I wish I had this kind of rep when I was growing up. Meanwhile, my young cousin is watching Omar and Hannah, and I only had like dumb cartoons about haram things. Okay. What's Omar and Hannah? I've never heard of Omar and Hannah.
What is that?
I don't know. Probably a show. He said that they said that their cousin is watching. There was a tweet that said it's privilege to be able to go to social events without drinking because my brain doesn't produce the right chemicals, and I kind of think that was a reach. That sounds like a reach.
Oh, it's something like that. It's a kid show about Muslims. Oh, okay.
Okay, cool.
Muslims on Twitter do a lot.
Yeah.
Too much.
Muslim Twitter. I see things sometimes and I'm like, did you pray Fajr? Like, you're on Twitter, you have a lot of things to say, but
I don't see no prayer mat.
Oh Lord.
Many things wouldn't even be a problem if people just like focus on themselves. Like, oh, I swear.
Yeah. Your relationship with Allah is personal. You don't need to like,
yes.
You know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's talk about last thing. What are people reading for February? I know it is Blackathon from Jesse from the channel Bow Ties and Books. If you are not subscribed to their channel, what are you doing?
Coming back, I'm gonna show you what I'm reading.
For the month of February, for those who do not know,
I'm back.
So
what are y'all reading?
February is read a book by a Black Muslim author, and if you're looking for more suggestions, go on my Google Doc, which has a lot of, a lot of recommendations.
She has the whole like Muslim literary catalog up in there, y'all. I was reading through it and I was
reading on that for like a week straight, and then my dad had to just tell me like, just stop. I was like, no, but look, I have like 3 more. He's like, just stop. Okay, go ahead. What are you reading?
That's me and my Muslim books of 2020 thread. It's like I just keep adding and adding. Yeah. I'm reading Muslim Girl by Zakia.
What did you tell me about that?
Yeah, I told you about it. It was published back in 2012, so it's a bit old. Mm-hmm. But it's about a Black American girl who her family converts when she's around 9 years old. So she converts with them, and then they move to Saudi for like 6 years, and then they move back to the States. And the book picks up from when she moves back to the States, like at around 16 or so. And it's about her kind of fitting into the school environment and her Muslim identity and not really feeling like she fits in. Now,
Yeah.
um, just hold up for a second, because I think I heard like from one of the summaries somewhere that she decides that she wants to like try to take off her hijab or something. And I know that
Mm.
that could sound potentially red flaggish, but Zakia is a practicing hijabi Muslim
Yeah.
woman. She writes a lot of Muslim fiction,
Yeah.
so I trust that she'll handle that conversation
I mean, people are
with
very dramatic, so
nuance.
it's just for like I trust her.
Yeah, yeah, because we don't want a holla situation going on.
Why y'all made me watch that movie? I don't understand
You
why.
made yourself watch that movie.
I did it for
I I
y'all.
haven't I haven't watched your review as yet, but I feel like I would even be triggered by the review.
And
I
I
don't
mean, it
want that movie.
wasn't as bad as I thought, but it was still a 2 out of 10, 2 out of 5, 2 out of everything. It was like a 2.
Unless it's out of two. Um,
The book I'm trying to read for February is, I say trying just because, like I said, I have a lot of stuff going on. But
Bye, Jamila.
Oh, Jamila's leaving. Bye, Jamila. I love you. If you guys don't know, Jamila is also going to be one of my co-hosts. I forgot which month. Jamila, I have to actually message her after this so she can let me know which month she wants to co-host for. But I'm Ashamed Musings of a Fat Black Muslim by Leah Vernon. It is a memoir. I've been following her on Instagram for a very long time, but she is a plus size Black Muslim girl from New York. Black Muslim woman, I should say. I say girl too often, but she's a plus size Black Muslim woman, and it's her memoir. It's about like her life just growing up and existing, and she is a plus size modest fashion like model, and she's just really amazing and super, unapologetic, and I'm really interested in reading that. Like I said before, if you guys are looking for more Black Muslim books to read, check out the Google Doc. A lot of people are reading Mirage. I like this. We need to be caught up because the second book comes out this year. Okay. And that does count because, like I said earlier, Samaya Dawood, I believe, identifies as Black. So you guys are all set.
Okay. Hannah said they're reading Teaching My Mother How to Give Birth by Wasan Shaya, Somali Muslim poet.
Wow.
Sounds interesting.
That
I
does
like
sound
that title.
Yeah.
Somebody said Unashamed by Leah Vernon.
Yeah, that's the book I'm reading.
Okay. Oh, that's the book that's the memoir. Okay, cool. Right, I've completely forgot the name and the title.
Somebody was it Amina? It was somebody. I think one of my Muslim friends on Twitter had sent me a recommendation for a Muslim book, and I just want to share it really quick because it sounded super interesting. It's called and the author is Naima B. Roberts, and she's the author of She Wore Red Trainers. If you guys have heard of that.
Red Trainers. I've heard of that.
And
yeah.
And
she's an
I believe,
author.
Yeah.
From Britain.
Someone said that in her book that there is a Black Muslim girl. She's also biracial in her stories. So that's very interesting. I guess the mom
I think she's
is
originally
Scottish.
from. I think you froze a bit. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So it features a Black biracial Muslim main character. So if you guys are interested in that. Oh, Warsan Shari's poetry was included in the Lemonade album. Okay, because I'm like, the name sounded familiar. Okay. You like that. Any final thoughts? Because I feel like we've been chit-chatting for so long.
Yeah, we kind of left the SFF topic a while now.
This was fun, though. I hope
I really enjoyed it, yeah.
All over the place, and we'll have better technical setup and everything.
The first time is always a trial. That's what you call it, the Iqra Trials, right?
Yes.
Everything is a trial.
Yeah. Everything's a test. Yes.
Teaching my mother how to give birth is amazing and gut-wrenching. Watson is an incredible writer and poet. Yes, that sounds like a blurb from when they write a blurb on the book.
Yes.
Like when John Green has something on the top of each book.
That's a
Like
review. They paid you like that. That's a good review.
yes.
That's good.
Yes, you should review books for a living.
Yes.
801810.
I love this live show. Oh, I'm glad you guys enjoyed this.
Thank you.
I think we're about to head out. Thank you so much, Saajid, for joining me. You are the best.
Thank you for having me.
You helped me start off the Iqra Trials, and I am so happy.
Thanks for having me.
Yes. Make sure you guys are reading, making TBR videos. If you talk about anywhere, hashtag Iqra Trials. Follow Saajid on his channel at Books Are My Social Life. And I can't think of anything else. Stay tuned. We have so much more content, and we have 11 more shows, live shows. So we're doing this once a month, every month, and I will be announcing the next live show date and my live show co-host. Actually, for you guys now, this is a sneak peek for whoever's not watching the show. Y'all will get to find out who I am co-hosting with for February. Okay, so yeah, my co-host for February is Samaya from the channel Samaya and Booktopia, who I also love so much. So
shout out to Samaya.
Yeah, okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are the best. I hope you guys have a good day, night. I'm not booked for Chloe, but like, yeah, I hope you guys, the people that were up that need to go to school, stop skipping class, go to bed, do homework. So yeah, I'll see you guys.
Do your assignments that's due tomorrow.
Yes. Good night, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
If I can end this.